WMTV, Channel 15 in Madison.
In the news tonight, we'll take a look at the damage caused by tonight's storm.
A consulting firm changes its position on the location of the Madison Convention Center.
And Admiral John Poindexter says he has no apologies.
Todd has highlights of tonight's baseball games and a look at the state amateur golf tournament. Joel says tonight's storms won't do anything to change our hot, humid weather. Great. Newscene 15 is next.
This is Newscene 15 with Dave Crawley and Andrea Ernst, Elmer Childress with the weather, and Todd Johnson with sports.
Good evening. The hot, humid weather that's been with us the last few days had the ominous feel of a storm about to happen.
Well, tonight that storm hit with a fury. Winds of up to 60 miles an hour were reported in our area. Coupled with heavy rains, they resulted in a number of downed power lines and downed trees. There were reports of funnel cloud sightings in our region, but those reports were not confirmed. Condominiums on Williamsburg Way were stripped of their siding by the high winds, damage typical of the destruction caused by the storm as it swept from the northwestern part of the state on its way to Illinois.
The controversy over where to build a convention center in Madison is brewing again. A Chicago consulting firm that had picked the Concourse Hotel site for the center has now changed its mind. That leaves the city to pick between a South Side site or the parking lot behind the Civic Center. Mayor Joe Sensenbrenner says either site will work.
They just had their conclusions last time. A number of people had reasons for challenging those conclusions. I hope it's a well-reasoned report, good information, and they make a strong case so we can get forward and build a successful convention facility in the downtown.
The mayor expects to have the site selection wrapped up by September.
A Dane County judge today ordered a 35-year-old Madison man to stand trial for attempted murder. Police arrested Stephen Shepard last month for shooting his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Authorities say that Shepard hid in a closet in the woman's home and then shot and wounded Stephen Balzer. Police also say that Shepard tried shooting the woman, but that she escaped.
The United Nations Security Council today voted unanimously for a resolution calling for a ceasefire in the Iran-Iraq war. Iraq supports the ceasefire resolution, but Iran opposes it. Secretary of State Schultz spoke in favor of the resolution.
This resolution is anti-war. It is pro-peace. The war must stop. The healing must begin.
Iran says the U.S. favors the resolution as an excuse for escorting Kuwaiti oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. Pentagon sources say the first U.S. Navy escort operation will begin Tuesday night. After months of policy confusion and political debate, the Navy is poised just outside the Persian Gulf to escort the first 2 Kuwaiti tankers past Iranian guns. Iran has threatened the tankers and the American ships that will protect them.
Former National Security Advisor John Poindexter told the Iran-Contra committees today in Washington that he has no regrets about his role in the affair. The Rear Admiral was angered by tough questioning from committee members. Senator Tribble of Virginia wanted to know how Poindexter could excuse misleading Congress and misleading the president.
I don't have any regrets for anything that I did. I think the actions that I took were in the long-term interests of the country, and I'm not going to change my mind, and I'm not going to be apologetic about it.
Poindexter accused former House Speaker Tip O'Neill of holding up Contra aid while rebel troops were fighting and dying. O'Neill disputes the charges. It's an ancient civilization that nobody knew existed until archaeologists began digging in a Grant County cornfield. Now, evidence is slowly being unearthed which proves that a unique band of Indians settled southwestern Wisconsin around 1050 A.D. Jay Jones visited the site today as secrets were brought to the surface.
Oh, what's this? What's this?
Surrounded by tall stalks of corn which seem to trap the sweltering heat, 17 archaeology students from the UW-Madison are centimeter by centimeter unearthing what remains of a prehistoric Indian village. About 900 years ago, on a ridge overlooking the Grant River, this site was home to between 50 and 100 villagers.
You want me to go right into the next level?
Are you at the base of the level now?
Yeah, right now I think I'm just...
Slowly and with great care, Ron Koss unearths pieces of a centuries-old clay pot from the floor of what was once somebody's house. Bit by bit, evidence is being collected, which makes this village and its people unique.
The artifacts from the site seem to be from a people who aren't native Wisconsinites, but rather everything about the artifacts suggests that they have ties to the South. So what we suspect is this is a group of people who emigrated into southwestern Wisconsin.
One of the biggest mysteries is what brought the Indians 900 years ago to what is still a relatively remote area. One educated guess is to mine the Galena lead, which would attract white men a few hundred years later. With other such digs going on around the world, Professor Stoltman says what is uncovered here will provide only a sentence in the book of human history, but an important chapter in the history of Wisconsin. Jay Jones, Newscene 15 in Grant County.
While kidney transplants have become more commonplace, kidney dialysis is still a key treatment for those suffering kidney failure. For Jesse Olson of Cambridge, dialysis has been a lifesaver for 18 years. Here's tonight's health scene.
I'm in my 1,808 treatment today.
And that's no small thing.
Well,
Jessie comes to UW twice a week. She then sits for 4 hours while the dialysis machine clears her blood of poisonous fluids.
I know one thing, the doctors always tell the new one when they come in to, wait till you meet Jessie. She can tell you all about it.
And she does.
When I tell them, that not to worry, it won't hurt them and all that,
Jessie has also helped head nurse Phyllis Brose train a lot of personnel.
I tell them what to do. Well, I have my own way of doing things, like I have to have 3 pillows, one to sit on, one behind me, and then one to put my arm on. When I go through all that ritual, then I have to have a stool to get up in the chair, because I can't hop in it anymore like I used to. I used to be able to hop right up in the chair, but I can't do that now. So then I just tell them where I'd like to have them put the tape and where to put the needles in.
Watching her blood go in and out of the dialysis machine doesn't seem to bother Jessie at all.
I'm used to watching it now. I mean, when this happens to you, you just, in time, you just get used to seeing it. You have to live with things when this happens to you. If you don't, you can't go on.
Great lady. Jessie has been there so long, she's like a member of the hospital family. She says she's held the staff's children, babies, on her lap years ago, and now they're grown up.
And they're all learning from her.
That's right.
Inspirational story.
Yeah, she's great.
It really is.
And we could use some inspiration after an afternoon like we had.
Weather,
Well,
yeah.
we had some real wild weather earlier this afternoon. It seems to be quieting down. I'll tell you about it right after this. Well, it was a very busy afternoon in the entire state of Wisconsin. I want to fill you in. You saw what happened locally. Also, up near Ladysmith, as you heard, a tornado was sighted. Big Flats in Adams County had 64-mile-an-hour winds, as well as pea-size hail. Trees 2 feet in diameter. Now, that's a big tree. Near Seymour, Wisconsin, they went down. Also, a barn and silo blown down near Burnham Wood, also up by Green Bay. The city of Appleton had 50-mile-an-hour winds, and also funnel clouds reported up there. City of Oshkosh had 2 inches of rain in just an hour. Just on and on. We can go down this whole list of a lot of severe weather this afternoon, but it has quieted down considerably by now. We are at 68 degrees, cloudy skies, south winds at 16, 90% the relative humidity, and the barometer falling at 30.13. There also was, just to make things a little bit even out, there also was a double rainbow near Arlington this evening. A caller called in, let us know something pretty did come out of it. Here's the way things look tonight. Most of this rain has moved off into the Chicago area. It has decreased in intensity as it's moved off. You can see new line of thunderstorms starting, though. Those are moving east. But as we saw this afternoon, they can change direction and head our way very easily. Severe thunderstorm watch in effect till 1 a.m. for the extreme northwest corner of the state. Here are the counties that had the warnings earlier, as we talked about at 6, a number of severe thunderstorm warnings all through our viewing area. Highs and lows. And the reason the lows are on the map tonight is because most of them happened about 10 minutes after the high was hit. We had 95 here in Madison this afternoon. The storm went through and dumped over ½ an inch of rain, and we dropped down to 68 very rapidly. Same thing happened over in Milwaukee. Same thing to a lesser extent in La Crosse, and a lot of rain and a big temperature change again in Green Bay as well. So a lot of interesting changes because of this storm system. 90-degree temperatures did reach well up into the upper Midwest, 100-degree temperatures again down to the Southwest, and also a little pocket of very, very warm temperatures up in Maryland and Pennsylvania today. You can watch these clouds move right down over the state today, and they were that blue color means they were high thunderclouds, and by later this afternoon into evening, things did start to settle down. As you can see, we still have cloudiness in the area, but none of those high towering thunderclouds like we have now over South Dakota into Minnesota. And as you might guess, underneath those clouds, severe thunderstorm watch box is in effect there. Also, for parts of lower Michigan, they still have some severe thunderstorms going on. Still some rain down through the Gulf Coast and just some scattered showers back through the west. But most of the heavy weather for us seems to be over. Here's the culprit, the stationary front. Not only is it holding all this muggy, warm air that we've had the last few days, but it also is triggering a lot of shower activity. In fact, golf ball-sized hail fell late last night in North Dakota, and that moved our way and then started to move down right over us and took care of some of the mugginess for now. But by tomorrow, if you think this looks like the same map, you're almost right, because things aren't going to change much. The stationary front will remain pretty much where it is. We'll have muggy conditions again, and again, tomorrow afternoon, we may have a chance of an isolated thundershower again because of this very moist, unstable air. Our feature photo tonight is appropriate for this day. These are some storm clouds, not from tonight, but from our last big storm from Dave Ferry of Madison. Tonight, then, we will have a continued chance of some thundershower activity. Some may still have strong winds, hail, and heavy rains, but we expect them to stay below the severe level, and we'll go back up to 70 degrees for a low, so things are already starting to warm up and get muggy again. Tomorrow, it looks like we have partly sunny, hot, humid conditions, that chance of an afternoon thunderstorm, and a high of 93. Tomorrow night, still very muggy, very warm, down to 70. And even Wednesday, it looks the same as the last couple of days. Warm, muggy, very, very hot, and just yuck, humid. I can't spell yuck, otherwise I would put yuck up there.
So the big question is, that single unit air conditioning people, do we turn it off tonight, or had we better just leave it running?
Well, leave your windows open if you get up early enough, but it's going to warm up through the night. And so by tomorrow morning, it's going to be warm.
Well, I guess I may as well put on the air conditioner. Only problem is I don't have one.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
That problem.
There you have it. Right. We'll be right back with Contact 15. Stay with us. Well, Contact 15 reports tonight that if you join a health club that promises special extras like showers or whirlpools, you should get that promise in writing.
One Madison club made a habit of promising amenities, only later never to install them. That forced the state Justice Department to file a consent judgment against Living Well Lady Health Clubs. Here's Bob Richards.
After a brisk session of aerobics, a shower or a whirlpool might seem like just what you would need. And members of this Westside Madison spa were promised those facilities, but they still aren't in after months of waiting. Assistant Attorney General Mark Smith says if health clubs promise you facilities, they must be listed on your contract.
If people tell you what the facilities are going to be, pick up the contract and look at it, and if it's not listed in there, tell them to write it on there or have it recorded somewhere so that you're protected, because it's required by law for them to do that.
Smith says Living Well Lady is making refunds as part of a consent judgment they signed, which also covers complaints about their bill collection practices.
The judgment prohibits them from a variety of debt collection practices, like threatening to take you to court, or threatening to start a criminal prosecution, or contacting you at your place of work, or contacting your friends or relatives.
Smith estimates that Living Well has made refunds to consumers totaling $10,000, and he says both Living Well and its finance company, Paramount Acceptance, have each agreed to pay the state a fine of $4,600. I'm Bob Richards for Contact 15.
Well, the rain had a little bit of effect on sports here in the state.
That's right. Maybe Joel should sit in here and do the first part of my sportscast.
Right.
We'll talk about that, plus a little golf when we come back. Rain has been the story at County Stadium tonight. The game was scheduled to start at 7:30, but this contest is just underway. Now, the Mariners are in Milwaukee through Wednesday afternoon. By the way, the Brewers sent reliever Paul Mirabella and his 7+ ERA down to Denver. I doubt if they'll miss him. Elsewhere in the American League tonight, California at Boston in the 5th. Rupert Jones, deep, but it stays into the park for an Angels double. 2 runs are coming to the plate for California, and the Angels led 2-0. To the 6th, Red Sox trail by the score of 2-1. Wade Boggs extends his arms. Gary Pettis and Devin White could not flag it down. Ed Romero comes home, and this game is all tied in 2s. Top of the 8th, game still tied, deuce apiece. Devon White to Romero at second, and Romero just can't seem to handle this shot. Brian Downing is going to get the go-ahead run, and the final from Fenway, 3-2, California clips Boston. Okay, also tonight, the Yankees continue to lead the East. They beat Minnesota tonight 7-1. Detroit 5-4 over the Oakland A's. Baltimore 4-1. That game now a rain delay in the 5th. Cleveland 8-5 in the 7th, and Toronto 5-3 in the 7th over the Rangers. In the National League tonight, the Cubs starting out behind against the Padres. Atlanta drops to the Mets. Houston loses to Montreal. By the way, Astros' Ken Caminiti named NL Player of the Week after his first week in the bigs. Also tonight, Cincinnati 7-6 in the 11th inning. Midwest League a rain out at Warner Park, and the Quad City Angels lead 12-7 in the 4th. For the next 4 days, Wisconsin's elite amateur golfers will be shooting for the state's top trophy. Jay Heiler takes a look at the prestigious event being held at Maple Bluff this year.
They've come from all around the state, from River Falls to Racine and everywhere in between. A field of 174 will tour the tight fairways of Maple Bluff in the WSGA's 86th annual championship. The tournament is the highlight of the amateur season, bringing together the game's young upstarts with its weathered warriors. Age probably won't be the deciding factor, though, as much as experience.
You rarely see somebody that comes along that's inexperienced that would win. They might shoot some good rounds, but after 72 holes, it'll be an experienced player or somebody who's maybe young but experienced.
70-year-old Steve Caravello from Maple Bluff, a 2-time amateur champ, is one player long on experience. His reasons for playing this year are pretty simple.
Well, you want me to be honest with you, the reason I came out is that I don't want to miss 4 days of golf as long as these guys are taking up our golf course.
As for a favorite in this year's tournament, the field is wide open since John Hayes and Steve Stricker, the past 2 champions, are both at the Western Amateur in Michigan.
David Miley of North Hills in Milwaukee turned in one of the best early rounds. The 20-year-old junior, who plays at the University of Mississippi, had 3 birdies and 2 bogeys on his way to a 1-under par 70. Jerry Kelly is one of the local favorites. He shot a 3 over 74 on his home course, while Nokoma's Dave Spengler fired a 7 over 78. At Maple Bluff Country Club, Jay Heiler, Newscene 15 Sports.
Dave Miley and Mike Taylor both fired 1-under par rounds. 2 more golfers shot 1 over. 48 players will have to finish their opening rounds tomorrow because of tonight's weather. Nancy Lopez joins an elite golf club tonight. The 30-year-old Lopez was inducted in the LPGA Hall of Fame. She becomes the 2nd youngest player to gain entrance into the Hall by winning 35 tournaments during her 10-year career. The Olympic Sports Festival games are in their 2nd week. Lefty Drizel coaching the East team in blue. Lefty did not like this fast break because it's going the other way. A young player by the name of Chris Carcione with quite an assist there. Carcione, not a big player, but he's on his way to North Carolina State to play for Jimmy Valvano. So you see him finding his way within the trees. The East came back, and they cut J.R. Reed and company's lead down to just 2 points. Eddie Sutton, coaching for the South, was up by 3, but East had the ball and a chance to tie in the closing seconds. The 3-pointer is short by Dennis Scott, and 2 points won't do the trick for Lefty Drizel's East squad. Lefty getting into a rare coaching appearance these days.
Still doesn't like to lose.
No, and I wonder if he'll get back into coaching. He says that he's interested in a college job.
I'm not sure who'd hire him at this point. Thank you, Todd.
Ollie North, where does he go next when we come back?
It's time for Shelf and Dining Furniture's tremendous July clearance. Save up to 60% on Wisconsin's best selection of wood wall systems, entertainment centers, dining sets, desks, and bedroom furniture. Save over half on a special purchase of Wisconsin-built oak china cabinets. A 43-inch china is just $4.49, and a 53-inch china is only $5.49.
Shelf and Dining Furniture.
Hurry, sale ends July 28th.
After his 4-star performance before the Iran-Contra hearings, there are some who thought Oliver North should enter politics or write a book.
Or maybe even go to Hollywood. make that Hollywood. The famed Hollywood sign in the hills overlooking Los Angeles was altered today to reflect the public's captivation with the former national security advisor. Pranksters who call themselves environmental artists used black plastic to block out the first letter of the sign. Several years ago, that same group claimed to have altered the sign to read Hollyweed after California reduced penalties for marijuana possession.
What will they think of next?
Who knows?
Out there. Thanks
Good
for
night.
joining us. That's our news.